Welcome to our second Community Partner Showcase event. This is part of our online series marking the 10th anniversary of the Hostile Environment Policy in the UK, which is made possible under the Pathways to Settlement grant from our funders Trust for London, which supports our community engagement work here at New Europeans UK. This year marks the 10th anniversary since then Home Secretary Theresa May announced the Hostile Environment Policy for the first time. And to mark this anniversary, we're cultivating the space for an in-depth retrospective on how this policy has affected the third sector, the wider community, and individuals on the receiving end of the policy. We're asking the question, where to next, which would come at the end of today's session. The Hostile Environment Policy has been affecting individuals in the UK for the past decade. And in parallel to that, it has also had an effect on the community organizations working with those individuals on the ground. One of those community organizations and our valued partners is the Shpresa program. So I'll hand over to Shpresa now to speak. We have two lovely speakers and a presentation coming up.
So thank you, Boromir and Lydia, for inviting me and Landi as part of Shpresa to share with you what Shpresa does and what we do with the Albanian-speaking community to promote and enable integration with dignity of the Albanian-speaking community here in the UK. I'll share the screen with you, as you can see. Shpresa stands for Inspiring Hope and Change, and I hope through our presentation we will be able to do just that.
Hello, Lydia and Boromir. Thank you for having us today. I'm part of Shpresa for more than 2 years now. Initially, I have been a volunteer, and now I'm working as a women's advocate. I can share with you a bit of what Shpresa does, what is in the center of Shpresa. And in my understanding so far, in the center of Shpresa are the people and the people needs. How we can meet these needs, how can we help them, how can we refer them, signpost them, and find other collaborators to meet their needs and maximize the service that we can give and offer to them. Shpresa gives hope to one person to help them move on. This person helps someone else and continues in this way to build a community by inspiring hope and change from the strength of lived experience. And this is what happened with me, and I'm sure that this is a similar journey for each of the people who reached out to Shpresa initially. Our family approach and meaningful partnership is the way Shpresa works. And in my opinion, this is a personal opinion, I think that this is what kept going Shpresa for more than 20 years now. So we listen, we turn issues into problem solving, we seek partners, we mobilize community, seek resources, develop options with staff and service users, build strategic partnership, evaluate, learn, and share this experience. So this is the circle how we try to move people needs and experience through this lived experience. Our projects serve different parts of our community. One of the projects is Advice and Advocacy Project, which aims to provide in partnership with other providers such as MyClue, Money, A&E, Horizon, Manor Gardens, New Europeans, advice and advocacy on behalf of the Albanian-speaking clients in various fields such as benefits, immigration, settlement, debts, etc. Children and Young People Project aims to improve the life, the education and the well-being of the Albanian-speaking children from refugee, asylum and migrant backgrounds, as well as enabling their voices to get heard. Volunteering Project aims to promote volunteering amongst the Albanian-speaking community as a way to improve their chances of employment as well as their education and health. At the same time, as an organization, we offer work placements and internships and team challenges for business teams. Another of our projects is campaigning. which aims to engage, upskill, and empower the Albanian-speaking people living in the UK to work together to solve the problems that matter to them and for the common good. Women's Health and Wellbeing Projects aims to improve the chances of the Albanian-speaking women to break the isolation, loneliness, and other barriers so they can improve their health, integrate within the society, and play a full part in the family, community, and society. Resources and Research aims to share our learning model of working and resources with other user-led groups to maximize our impact and play our active role in society. This is a general view of what we offer at Shpresa, but of course we have a lot more to offer for people depending on their needs.
In terms of, the theory of change, this is our theory of change, and it reflects on what, Lady was, talking about, where we aim to create the last longing change for the Albanian speaking community so they can integrate and fully participate in society. We do that through offering a number of services, from listening to providing services that meet their needs, for encouraging them to be part of groups, and getting information, socialize with others, by encouraging them to benefit and access training that is provided by Shpresa at first in a very informal way, not to scare people away, and then leading them to other training that has been identified through working in partnership with other providers. We run the youth activities in the same way, where we listen to the young people, we identified what they need at that moment in time, and then we encourage them to be from one-to-one, meet that need, get them to be part of the working groups or, support groups, then, attend training, then be part of Shpresa, and then move on and gain leadership skills and go to other institutions. What are our 6, pillars of, success? Is the way how we work. We are very inclusive in terms of, our working. We start from a culture identity. Working with a single identity group, it really helps Shpresa to start from a knowing quite a lot about how to mobilize our community, what are the current needs, what is happening. So it starts from a really strength and very easy way to build the trust relationship. Then, having a team, and most of Shpresa's team, more than 70% of Shpresa's team, is people with lived experiences, people that have used Shpresa in the past. They've had the journey with Shpresa from being a really lonely or isolated person, moving to the groups work, moving to the training, getting an access to volunteering opportunities, and then getting further training and employment opportunities, and coming back to Shpresa to work as a workforce. And, focus on the family. Shpresa is really interesting model. And I remember on the first days of Shpresa, where we were told you have to be, focus in one area. So you can work with children or with the women or with the volunteers. You can't do it all. And for the Albanian community, this was the only way to work, because the community didn't have any support around, and unless we worked with the whole community, we wouldn't be able to address the issues that the members of the family were facing. And progressive steps, Shpresa works in a really interesting way, works by building strategic partnerships for every single issue that we identify. So it could be in mental health. We don't provide mental health services, but we bring the mental health services to our welcome spaces and trusted spaces for people to forge relationship. People get information, get trained, and they spread the word and build that trust relationship. And then people are likely to go and access the services that will be permanently in the community. And I think Shpresa really creatively helps our community to understand the UK and helps the UK to understand the Albanian speaking community. But I thought it would be really interesting to do just a bit of background information in terms of who are Shpresa's members, how did they end up here, how long have they been here? So in 1991, we had members of the Albanian speaking community that came from Albania as a result of, fall of communism regime. There were in a fewer numbers, but Albania went through a really rough patch being, 45 years under communism, where only, these bunkers were built to be scared of, the capitalism and the other, countries in Europe and, further. So we had in 1991 the fall of communism regime. Then we had in 1991 lots of people leaving Albania for the first time, not because there was a war, but because there was loss of hope, and there was quite a lot of fear in Albania that things will get better. And then we had in 1997, where quite a lot of all the munition that country had went on the hands of population. And at that moment in time, completely people tried to leave Albania illegally, going to Greece, going to Italy, and to neighborhood countries. Then we had people that came the second wave from Kosovo. We had a conflict in 1997 to 2002, and we saw large number of people coming, leaving Kosovo, going in surrounding countries like Albania, Italy, and other places. But we saw an increase of number of people that came here to UK. Then we had people coming as a second generation from European countries to work. Whereas the first, two slides were about people leaving and seeking sanctuary, the people from European countries were people that had the right to citizenship on those countries and were, choosing to come to UK for better, life and better job opportunities. So as I mentioned, people came here during since 1991, and there were different reasons. So they claimed asylum, and there were a number of reasons as part of asylum, seeking or sanctuary seeking. So we had black-tooth victims, we had people that have left Albania due to not feeling safe as a result of the honor killing and domestic violence. We had an increase of people being trafficked, for criminal reasons here, LGBT, faith, political, and ethnic origin. People that migrated from EU countries, they migrated here for better life, as I mentioned, and they come here to study. Some other, people come here to study. They get married here with, British citizens or European citizens, and they come for work. How it all started, Shpresa's work? Well, I think it started very early ages by people of the community, including myself, mobilizing our community to help ourselves. It was set up as a really outlooking and working in partnership. So instead of, thinking to create an organization, was helping people that needed some things. So if it was English classes, that we went to the church and got the hall, we went to the college and brought the teacher at the hall, and we did the crash by ourselves. So basically it was a can-do attitude and getting the resources that were around to make use for, so members of our community can make use of them, but as well as other institutions that had these resources could identify the Albanian community as one of their potential communities to serve. We started as a user-led organization and movement, and still continue to be that in all our, work. And that is not a tick exercise. That is how we genuinely work. Shpresa, started really creative and look at, our work through different angles. From, we starting from a trust, point at that time where people, were at the same level. Then we looked at the heritage, because, Albanian community doesn't have a faith institution to congregate and to mobilize and to, get together. So Shpresa became the place where people chose to, because their heritage was, was addressed. It was creating opportunities for their children to learn, but in the same time, it was creating opportunities for the parents to learn English. So it was a safe, trusted space, and they could change it as they go along. Albanian community didn't have at that time any role models. So most of the people were just accessing services, were in the same boat. And I think, as I mentioned, providing family-centered service was very crucial and worked for our community, because you just can't, work just with one section at that time. And I think we started by focusing on, identifying solutions for issues and problems that we faced, and we continue to maintain. So as you can see we have maintained how we've started, and then now being a well-established organization where then more than 20 years, those are the bases that we operate from. Well, when it started, we started work in 2000. We were set up as a company limited by guarantee in 2003 and as a charity in 2005. We are a user-led organization, and these are our company numbers and charity numbers. What were the issues then and what are, now? And I would say that the issues are nearly the same, but they are from different cohort group and different, people. So lack of language, it's, one issue. Lack of knowledge, how systems work, education, health, immigration, local authority, how government, works. Lack of information, trauma, lack of role models, feeling ashamed and isolated, lack of practicing faith or having a place to congregate, lack of trust in the system and networking support that are available, and feeling isolated, lonely and confused, fearful of celebrating identity at that time. That has changed. I think there is a willingness now of people wanted, to celebrate, to learn, celebrate the identity of others. As Lady mentioned, this is, the involvement process. So people normally come to us either because a friend has referred and has told to come to Shpresa, or in the past 5 years, we've seen an increase of referrals from the police, victims of trafficking organizations that are working with victims of trafficking, police, mental health institution, schools. And people are encouraged after they solve that problem that they will join the group's work, where that is done in an informal way and they have authority. So they make the rule of the groups, they decide what they want to do, and sometimes can be just a place where people can have a bit of fun, they can share the food, or they can tell story, or they can make artwork. Then they are encouraged after they get that confidence and make new friends and they improve their mental health and well-being. Then we create opportunities for them to learn new skills through formal training. Sometimes we do that and sometimes we get partners. It depends on the needs and what the people that we work with, the members, are looking for. And then we convey what it means to be an Albanian here in the UK, getting the best of both of the cultures. There are a number of rules that we followed, that Shpresa has followed over the years, knowing what we want to achieve and how we're going to achieve it. And I gave you an example of, very early where we started with English classes. There was no funding in place. We didn't want to go for funding because the resources were around. So it's knowing what you want English classes, knowing where you can get the teaching. So you go to the college and negotiate so they can come the teachers, and then know what you want to achieve. So you want this, women to be empowered so they can become volunteers, they can help others. Identify who can actually help and what is it in it for them. Very often we see groups or we see leaders that, complain and say, okay, I've been misused by this organization. They have, and for us, that it didn't matter how much money another organization has. What it mattered is that they could offer to us the thing that we needed at that time. And sometimes, not always, the solution is money, but it's only when the solution is money, we look for them, but not when, you can sort that by bringing other people in. And I think another key issue has been that we develop, the team as well as, the organization, so individual as well as the institutions. Shpresa current partnerships that we are trying, and Investi gives you the options of what are the needs currently. So we address immigration by working in strategic partnership with Islington Law Centre, Garden Chambers, the Renewal Programme and New Europeans. We address education by working in partnership with NULS, Barking and Dagenham Adult College, Alice Prospect. We address mental health through working in partnership with Croydon Dropping In, Manor Garden, Women's Therapy Centre and The Alternative. Heritage by working in partnership with Museum of London, Gascoigne School, Forest Gate Learning Centre, The Ark and many more centres. Domestic violence by working in partnership with ICRO and Solace Women's Aid, and youth activities by using different premises and training providers such as London Youth, Newham Council, Croydon Council, etc. We have got lots of successes here. I don't think I need to go through it, but there are few that really have stood out for us. So we work currently in several different boroughs. We have built different partnerships. We have received a Queen's Award, and we have received a number of standards for our work. And it started with National Resource Centre, which was the distinction for quality mark. then gold standard for our youth work. Then we had a trusted charity in 2018. And these are some of the photos, so we just don't say it, but we have met the Queen, we have met the Prime Minister, Tony Blair, we have got the women's, different award for women that have been recognized. A few years ago, we did with Newham Council and NHS, we did a series of, storytelling. And this story gives the story of a young man on how he engaged with Shpresa just because he had lots of issues at first and then moved to the pathway. So it's exactly what I explained in theory, you've got through the story. Landi, is not on this video, but Landi today is the vice head teacher of a very large college. And we are really, really privileged to have had the chance to work with him and help him to, go through this journey and achieve his full potential.
Where would I have been without Shpresa? If I hadn't had the courage to join that dance group at Shpresa, where would I have been today? In 1999, Albania was in chaos. I was 12 years old child, dreaming of being an actor, when my family sent me in the back of the locked lorry to what they hoped it would be a better life in England. With no family to support or look after me, social services put me into a shared house with 3 other young Albanians. Lost in a new country I didn't know much about, missing the parents I had left behind. Where I didn't speak the language, I couldn't turn to anyone for support. I became lonely, depressed, and confused. We were given £35 a week to buy food, but I didn't know how to cook or where to shop. We took it in turns to buy chicken and chips from the shop on the corner using sign language. I started going to school, but I was rebellious and did only what I wanted, and eventually the school expelled me. I got into all sorts of troubles and dangerous situations. I didn't care about anything anymore. One day, hanging around the barking area, as usual, I heard about a community organization created to help Albanians and Kosovans. It offered activities I was interested in, but I was afraid to go there in case my friends called me a wimp. But one day I went, and I liked what they were doing and how they were supporting the Albanian community. I did all sorts of activities: football, kickboxing, dancing and drama. The activities took me off the streets and away from trouble. Dancing and performing recalled my childhood dreams. Shpresa was the organization, the family that put me back onto the right track when I had no one to give me advice, stopped me hanging around, getting myself into trouble, locked up, or worse. Shpresa suggested I do a performing arts A-level. I passed with a distinction and a merit, and through that course my dream finally came true. Warner Brother production company came to my school, which was known for excellence in performing arts, and after auditioning I realized my childhood dream. I got a role as a dancer in Harry Potter, the Goblet of Fire. And now I'm studying for a degree in film and media studies at London South Bank University.
So what have we learned, over the past 20 years? Well, no one knows everything. All that joint partnership work isn't actually a joint up from the top, but you can make it work if you want to. And partnership matchmaking really works when the honesty and respect are core of that relationship. And today we wanted to talk about the hostile environment and how that came as a result of Theresa May making explicit. Well, I think in the past 20 years, I've seen a number of things that didn't have a name, but they were just that, creating a hostile environment. So we've got Section 95 support that was given in 1999. We have the introduction of vouchers in 2000, and then we have in 2002, we took away the right to work, for asylum seekers. We had some winning as well. So in 2004, we have the family settlements, a one-off exercise, which gave families with children before 2003 the right to stay. We had the 2004 lunar house inquiry that we show that when people work together, they can get things done and improve. And we saw, improvement of lunar house on that. And in 2010, we saw the end of child detention forever. But then, what happened in 2011, we had the mayor of Newham taking all the bilingual newspapers or foreign newspapers for all the libraries. In 2012, we had the statement of Theresa May that decided to publicly call, we are creating a hostile environment, and declaring that war. Then we had, in 2013, in a number of boroughs, the white bans. Then we had in 2018, the Immigration Act 2016 that brought a number of changes. Then we had Brexit, then we had the Windrush, then we have the new immigration, bill. And, we have the speedboat and, how the Home Office is dealing with that. And then we're having the Rwanda case. So what I was trying to do with this has been there for longer than the statement that but I think what has happened is people, the sector didn't foresee the scale on which these things were leading from one to another one. And I think, looking at that, is that when rights are gone, it takes time, effort to bring them back. So we've been part of Lift the Ban. We know how much work, we know how much empathy, and, they got public, winning, but still, we don't have the rights to work for those that seek sanctuary in this country. We have citizens working on Settle Our Status campaign and trying to do the same, using the same theory as, Settle the Europeans for those that are undocumented for a very long time. But it's taking lots of energy and work by everyone. And there are lots and lots of people behind these campaigns, but nothing, has happened yet. So policy research should be well ahead, working with people for these things not to happen. For this, when it's a little thing like vouchers, we shouldn't take it, but we should know that that is just the opening, gate for a flood of negative things to happen. Well, I just would like them to know that fear and force does not solve crisis. Don't use immigration for political gain. And human rights should be the foundation for any society and any systems that we create, not using them only when it suits politicians. Well, they are looking exactly, what they looked many years ago, but in a different, it's only for new arrivals. So they are looking for information support in their own language about life in UK, their rights and responsibilities, and accessing services. They're looking for education, training, and employment to be easy and accessible. The right to work, the education and employment to be there for them to take up. To have opportunities to build a safe and a good life. Access domestic violence support if needed, mental health, living wage, etc. Opportunities to be part and celebrate their heritage and their local and national level. Opportunities to understand and play an active part in society. Well, they can become volunteers with us, and for that they can contact Landi. They just can send her an email and she will respond with all the, what needs to happen. Currently, we are looking to employ a part-time Ukrainian development worker for 6 months to see how we can run a Refugees for Refugees initiative. We are recruiting a social justice and policy campaigning officer, and we are looking for members or people that have a dream, have an idea, or have an anger to make this, a reality. So if they have a dream, to make that dream reality. If they are angry, to seek social justice. And, that leadership program will start in September.